What's up, guys? Theo here, and welcome back to the It Factor MMA. Today, I'm coming to you with a breakdown for Payton Talbott versus Cameron Saaiman. Guys, in this fight, I like Payton Talbott a lot here. I tweeted about this a couple weeks ago. I tweeted that I put 2.5 units on him in the Bet MMA tips as soon as that line opened on Bet MMA. And the reason for that is that at plus money, I really like him here. You know, when I watch Payton Talbott fight, I feel like he has that thing that I talk about a lot, that it factor that I name my channel after. I always try to look for that whenever I'm looking for talented fighters, because I think that it means something, you know what I mean? I think that it's your gut telling you something about someone, and I definitely get that vibe from this dude. I think that even though both these guys are very well-rounded prospects, I think that I like what I see from Talbott a little more because he is just more creative, more cerebral, and I think he's going to be able to take advantage of some of the holes in Saaiman's game quite well. So, you know, like I said, both these guys are well-rounded, but the thing is that when we see Cameron Saaiman fight, he's quite impulsive. Even though he's good everywhere and he has a good, well-rounded MMA game, he kind of is reactionary to a fault, right? He sees an opening and doesn't really think about whether or not he should go for it. He kind of just goes for it, throws a lot of one-shots, and just overall, he's not a very efficient fighter. Even though he is well-rounded and he's got good cardio, I wouldn't call his striking or offense efficient like I would call Payton Talbott's. Whereas, you know, Payton Talbott, very, very slick on the feet, very slick on the ground, always composed. This guy never loses composure. Even when he does get into dicey spots, it never really seems like his opponents are able to capitalize on them. You know, whenever his opponent gets him into a bad position, it's almost like you see it as a win. It's like somebody like saying they won a round against Khabib. It's like, oh my God, like it's seen as, you almost feel the energy coming off them that they're like, oh my God, I finally got this guy in a bad position, because he just seems to be one step ahead of his opponents at all times. He seems to be able to get out of anything, neutralize any kind of threat they might offer them. I mean, the guy, when he gets punched straight in the face, he barely reacts at all. He's great at stuffing takedowns. He's great off of his back. He's just got a lot of transitions. The only thing that I would say about Payton Talbott is that his wrestling is not really the best, but he does have great jiu-jitsu, and Cameron Saaiman is not really a wrestling threat. And his path to victory is mostly going to be to win this on the feet, because I don't think he wants to go to the ground with Payton Talbott. You know, Saaiman is well-rounded, and he uses that well-roundedness to get himself out of, like, bad scenarios. But then he will get himself out of a bad scenario, get into a winning scenario, and then go right back into a scenario where he's, like, getting beat up on the ground. He's just back and forth with his fights. He lets his opponent get control of the fight too often, and Payton Talbott does the exact opposite of that. Payton Talbott never lets the fight get out of his pace. It's like he sets the pace of his fight just all the way through, and he's able to neutralize all of the offense and anything that an opponent might present to him. And, you know, this is kind of something similar to what you see with these new age MMA prospects, these undefeated guys like Umar Nurmagomedov, Tatsuro Taira. I see the same thing from Payton Talbott. I see an efficiency, right? They're never overextending themselves, but they are very comfortable in striking exchanges. Fast reflexes, elusive grappling, gets themselves in bad positions, but always manages to get themselves out, which I always personally think of as a very good sign of a fighter. You know, we saw Umar Nurmagomedov get fucking dropped clean and just on pure instinct, and he managed to take back control of that fight and win. And that's kind of, you know, we've seen that happen with Tatsuro Taira as well. He gets himself in these crazy submissions, but he always manages to just get out. It's the composure, it's the efficiency, and that's what I see from Payton Talbott, and that's why I like him here, and I put money on him at plus 100. He's not plus 100 anymore. Right now, the line on DraftKings is, it's like minus 110, minus 110, so they have the fight line completely evenly. I still think that there's value on Payton Talbott, and I might add a little bit more units to that bet, but I do feel great about my 2.5 unit at plus money on him. I think that's a steal. And, you know, I'm really the only one, guys, that's on YouTube that's going to be talking about these fights weeks in advance, because people that charge money for their picks, They can't do that. They need to have content in succession in order to make money. I do not. I will genuinely go in my Bet MMA tips, go on my Twitter, and I'll try to get CLV on these guys, and I'll make bets on them weeks in advance if I think they're good. So you're not going to get that information from the traditional gambling space, right? Because, I mean, I do it myself. I go into people's streams and I try to talk about Payton Talbott. No one wants to talk about him. No one cares because, oh, that fight's next week. Okay, well, you know what? If you follow my Twitter, follow my Bet MMA tips, you could have bet on Payton Talbott when he was plus money a couple weeks ago. He's not plus money anymore, and he's not going to be going back into plus money because all of the sharp people are going to drop money on him. Especially, there's still value on him here. He is the slicker guy. He's the slicker martial artist. Yes, this is a step up for Payton Talbott, but guys, Cameron Saaiman looked very exploitable in his fight. He got beat by C-Rod, who showed up looking like he just could not give less of a shit. He missed weight by 3 pounds, just didn't seem like he cared, and he just won on veteran savvy. But Saaiman made that fight competitive. I don't think he's going to have as much success here against Payton Talbott. I think Payton Talbott's just got that thing, and I think he's going to finish Cameron Saaiman in the 3rd round, or maybe win a dominant decision. But I do feel like this fight is going to look like the Reyes-Cortez fight, where Reyes-Cortez had some great stand-up, great kickboxing, went in there and just really wasn't able to do anything against Payton Talbott. So, I still think there's value on Talbott at minus 110 as long as this fight is even. I expect to see him become a bigger favorite. But, hey, if he goes back into being underdog territory, I'll slam that line. I don't care, because he should not be an underdog in this fight at all. He is the more well-rounded mixed martial artist from what we have seen, and he's more elusive, and he's more dangerous. He has finishing ability. He's shown it on the ground and on the feet so far. So give me Payton Talbott, guys. Keep it locked in. More picks coming this week. I got a lot of good reads on this card.